Good morning, guys. This process of becoming our true great selves and finding our true happiness, freedom, peace within ourselves so that nothing outside of us can slow us down is very difficult. It's very hard. However, one thing that's helped me so much and drives me each and every moment, my one word determination is a decision. And I want you to know that if you just start the path, if you just decide and you make one positive choice, the effects or the impacts, benefits to you are immediate. It's not something that's going to happen just down the road. It happens immediately. You start to build yourself up. You start to find out what you're really made of. Because many people will not even bother going on this path because they think it's too hard. It's too hard. They're just consumed by that. But I want you to know that one decision changes you in the moment. If you keep doing that, you're going to find your true greatness and your happiness. Have a great day, everyone.
I don't care how much knowledge is in your head. If that knowledge doesn't go into your subconscious, your life will stay exactly the same as it was. You can be the brightest, smartest academic. And I say, fine, did it change your life? And the answer is no. You have to take the knowledge that you are walking within your conscious mind and put that knowledge into your subconscious programming. And when you do that, you are all powerful in the creation of your own life. And so just walking around and being able to recite all these wonderful sayings and things that you hear from all the wonderful teachers that we have, and you say, oh yes, I remember that, that's a good quote, that's a nice quote, oh that's a wonderful saying. It's irrelevant until that saying becomes part of your program, because now you are living from the saying and not talking about the saying. And that was the total transformation of a life that on an academic level was successful. On a personal level, I don't even want to talk about that, but it changed everything. Why? Because instead of having to chase after life, after this understanding, things came to me. The light will bring it to you. The only thing that's in your way of the light is a block in your belief that other people have put into your programming. You take your knowledge that you have, make it your subconscious program, and you will manifest all of the wonderful spiritual wisdom that you have heard throughout your whole life. Is not words now, it is life and behavior, and that's our destination.
Nothing happens until you do something. Your life doesn't change, your business doesn't change, your situation, nothing changes. Nothing changes, nothing gets better until you decide to do something. This is where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck, is that we're so obsessed with learning, and it's great. Learning is amazing, and watching videos is amazing, and going to events is awesome, and reading books and learning is just awesome. But it's easy to get stuck in our head and feel like the fact that we learned something, got inspired, got motivated is enough. It's not enough until you go and do something. Your life doesn't change until you do something. And so I've seen a lot of people who just seminar hop, who go from one person's seminar to the next person's seminar to the next person's seminar, and you go and you celebrate and you write a whole notebook full of ideas, but then nothing's changed in their life. And listen, that's better than most people. Most people are just trapped. Most people do not like their life at all. Most people are not investing anything in education and learning and improving. So at least it's a step up from there, but it's not where you ultimately want to be. The difference between where you are now and where you could be in a year, 2 years, 5 years, etc., is not just what you've learned, it's the action that you've taken. It's learning something and then immediately applying. And the ability to be a fast starter and build momentum, I think, will make an incredible shift forward for you as a new skill to learn this year. So, for example, I just came back from a crazy number of events. I was recording a VR version of Built to Serve in Arizona, which was awesome. And then I went to 2 back-to-back events where I was invited to be a guest speaker and sit in on the events of One, you had to pay $25,000 to be there, and the other, you had to pay $100,000 to be there. The 100K event was a lot smaller and more intimate than the 25K event, but still, highly successful entrepreneurs in the room, caring about personal development, lots of speakers, and I had a binder full of notes, right? As I learn something, as I want to apply something, I'm writing it down feverishly. And at the end of that week, it was intense. You know, I mean, some of the notes, for example, on my last day, I went for coffee with a guy who'd sold his business for over $200 million. And he picked me up from my hotel, and we went to his compound, not just his house, and spent a couple hours there, and then he drove me to the airport. And these are the kinds of people who are at these events. And so if you're talking about people who had built and sold 9-figure businesses, there's a lot of wisdom, there's a lot of learning. I'm trying to soak up as much as I can and extract from his brain into mine, and take as many notes as possible. And I remember sitting on my airplane ride home and just being, one, incredibly grateful for all the awesome humans that I met and the advice that I got, and then feeling overwhelmed. I've got so many notes. Just from this past week, I've got so many notes. I don't know what to do next. And so what I used my time on the airplane, there's no direct flight home from Phoenix to Toronto. And so I had a lot of airplane time, and I used that time to map out what I was going to do next. The worst thing you can do is just go get inspired by anything, whether it's an event, a book, a podcast, a video. You just get inspired, and then you fall back into your regular routine. You get so overwhelmed by so many things that then nothing happens. You get excited, but then overwhelmed, and then nothing happens, and you fall back into your regular life. Where the best thing you can do is take some kind of immediate action. So one of the things, as an example, that this guy who had sold his business for $200 million said was, have a single most important number. What is the most important number that would drive your business forward? And align all of your businesses around that. And so everybody on the team has a single most important number they're working towards. And his structure was most important number, and then the drivers underneath it, and then the action steps that you had to pick. So whatever, if you could workshop it right now, think about what's the single most important number for your business right now. What are the 3 drivers that then make that up? So to help get you that number, there's 3 things, most important things that you can do to help you focus. And then underneath those drivers are the action steps that you're going to take. This is his methodology. And I liked it. I'd never heard of it before. I liked it. He's writing a book on it. And so he gave me the first draft of the book for me to be able to read. And he said, hey, I'm happy to hop on a call with you for 2 hours to walk you through the process and how you can apply it to your company. And whether it's you by yourself, you with Nina, we'll do a Zoom together, and I'll help you through this. I'm like, this is amazing, right? Like, yes, I love this. It's like, when can we do it? It's like, I'm busy and I'm traveling, whatever. And so 2.5 weeks out from when I left is when we're gonna do it. I'm grateful and it's awesome, but that's too long. And so I'm of course not saying no to being on a Zoom and getting his wisdom, but I need to do something now, because I don't want to wait 2.5 weeks, right? Like, stop being in the waiting business. So I just started. So on the plane ride, I came up with some most important numbers for me and for the team and how to organize it. And then when I got home, I talked to Nina about it, and we started working it and planning it and creating Google Docs around it and starting to tell the team about it and restructuring my meetings around it and making some changes, even though I don't have the model. I haven't talked to him yet. We haven't gone in deep. We haven't done our 2-hour session. And I'm sure after we talk, I'm going to have to make some more changes too, that he's going to look at what I did and say, hopefully some of it was right and that some of it was wrong and I need to tweak it. And that's fine. But the most important thing is that I took some immediate action, that I took this binder full of notes and ideas that are inspiring, but then got overwhelming to say, what am I going to work on when I get home? And 80% of the things in that notebook don't have to happen, right? I think if you read a book, you don't need to apply everything in the book. You just need to apply something to start making a difference. If out of every video that I make, you just apply one thing to your life and it makes a difference for you, that's all you need, right? And so the willingness to stop learning and start applying is is hard, but is important. The willingness to put down a book. If you're reading a book and you're getting a lot from it, and you think of an idea to apply to your life or your business, stop reading the book and go do something on that idea. If you're watching a video, listen to a podcast, you get inspiration. Stop the video. Stop this. If something came to you while I'm talking, stop. Press pause on the video and go do something on that idea. And maybe you never even come back to the video. Cool. You've done something. That's more important, right? Like where you are now to where you're going to be in a year is going to be the sum of the actions that you've taken, the inspired actions, and the inspiration can come from the books and the videos and the conferences and podcasts and events. But just inspiration alone is not enough. It's the action. It's the inspired action to go and do something. And so it's something I'm constantly reminding myself of. And as you make your path down personal development and growth and learning and entrepreneurship, it becomes very easy to get sucked into the trap. And let me just quickly explain why. When you're learning, everything is possible. When you're at an event or you're watching a video, everything is possible. It's like, yeah, man, I could create this and I can build that and I could be up here and I can serve so many people. Everything is possible. And it's such an exciting place to live in. You know, that visionary inside us that wants to change the world and other people are doing it. And you're trapped. You're not trapped. You're locked into that zone and it's exciting, right? Everything is possible. And then when it gets to taking action, everything becomes scary. You're judging yourself for not being good enough. You don't know how it's going to work out. You're afraid the first step is going to be a bad first step. You're just all of the fears and the doubts and the insecurities come flooding back in. And it's easy to eliminate all of that, all of those fears and insecurities by going and learning something else. Like, oh, if I learn that, then, oh yeah, everything's possible again. Right? It becomes an addiction. We're addicted to the learning and growing and the knowledge because it makes us feel good. But what you need to start getting addicted to is the action, is the service, right? Like get addicted to serving people, get addicted to helping people. And that will not come until you take the ideas that you come up with and the knowledge that you figured out and apply it. The best thing you can do whenever you've learned something is to apply it. And I call it the 2% difference. What is the first 2% that you need to act on? Stop the videos, put down the book, and just do something on the first 2%. Expect it to suck, expect not to get results, but build momentum. When you start building momentum, when you turn yourself from being a knowledge machine into a momentum machine, that's when you start serving, that's when you start helping, that's when you start building a life that you want. That's where the fulfillment comes, that's where the money comes. Everything is on the other side of taking your knowledge and turning it into inspired action.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Good morning, guys. Today in our top 10 rules for success, Les Brown shares with us his 9th rule, and that is you're different. And that's one we forget. We're all so different, so unique. So what does Les Brown tell us to do? He tells us to inoculate ourselves with positive words, images, thoughts. Inoculate ourselves. I love that expression. That's exactly what I've done. That's exactly why I'm so grateful for all the amazing images, videos, creations, books, interactions with people, because I've taken all that positive and I continue to inoculate myself, and it's changing me every day. And I want that for you. So surround yourself every day, every morning when you get up, just say to yourself, I am determined to inoculate myself with positive thoughts, words, images, so that I can find out my true greatness, so I can be the best I can be in this world. Hope this helps everyone. Have a great day.
Effortless manifestation is created with an effortless thought. And that is really a thought that's beyond the mind, which kind of sounds contradictory. But when we are in a place of zero resistance, so we're not contracting anywhere, no resistance whatsoever, then one thought will manifest virtually instantaneously. And if that thought is not contradicted by any other thought, I mean, that's the power that everybody has. You focus on a thought. If you do not contradict that thought, it will manifest. And so one of the things that we can do is we want something, or we want something to occur, we have a desire, and then we visualize it or we think about it, and then a whole lot of other thoughts come in. Well, how's that going to happen? And you didn't do that well in that subject, so how are you going to get that job? Or things haven't worked out for you before in that area, so what makes you think it's going to work out this time? And all of those kinds of thoughts, which are contradictory thoughts. So every time there's a thought like that, it just cancels it out. It's resistance to the thought that we had basically planted to manifest. And so effortless manifestation is really effortless thought, and having one thought that is not contradicted by any other thought at all. And so we can, the more joy that we're in and the more happiness, that the happier we are, then our thoughts are going to be effortless. They just, because when you're in joy and happiness, you have very little resistance, or gratitude. In gratitude, you have very little resistance. That's why when we're super grateful, we'll have tears come to our eyes, because we're letting go of resistance. So the higher we can be in joy and happiness or love or gratitude, the less resistance that we have. And that's the time, I think, to manifest, is when you're feeling that way, not when you're feeling, oh, I don't know if I've got it right, or, I've been waiting for this for a long time, it's still not here, all of those kinds of things. If you can just get yourself up higher into joy or into happiness or into passion, then you're in a place where you don't have as much resistance, and then you're going to manifest. But basically, effortless manifestation, it takes one thought to manifest, just one, as long as it's not contradicted with any other thought. And that's effortless manifestation.
I love that, because so often when we go to spiritual practices, it's when we're in a low place and we want something. And we're like, I will do all of the rituals and the moon practices and whatever you got, because I need the situation to change. But then when you're just joyful and living your life, you kind of forget about those things.
Yeah,
so it's like,
exactly.
how can you bring in more of that intentionality when you're feeling good?
Yeah. And it was perfect what you just said, because I want this to change. And if you feel that, that's full of resistance, right? I want this to change and I want it to change now, or I need this now. And that has a whole lot of resistance, and resistance you don't want, because resistance is basically saying, I don't have it yet. And so then you're not going to get it. So that's why we need to let go of resistance. And in those higher frequencies, there is not as much resistance there. So it's going to manifest a whole lot faster. So yeah, and I think, some teachers say it's to manifest, you don't want to need something, but it's just because the needing has resistance in it. That's all. Needing says, I don't have it. And as you know, for manifestation, you have to imagine that you have it already, because there's no time for any of the laws, law of attraction or any laws of physics. They're all operating in the present moment. So that's why you need to visualize that you have your manifestation. You already have what you want. You've already got it.
You are vibrational first, which means you got to pay attention to something other than what you're seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, because while that is vibrational interpretation, most people don't know that. So it was necessary to help you to understand that you are emitting a vibrational signal in order to help you to understand that your signal that you are emitting is being answered all the time, and that's what equals your life experience, period. Most humans don't know that, and in many cases don't want to know that, because they don't want to assume responsibility for what's coming, especially the parts they didn't want to come. Abraham, I'm sure I'm not the creator of my own reality. I would not have created that. And we say, we didn't say you did it on purpose, but you did do it. You did do it. Sounds a little blameful, doesn't it? You did do it. But when you realize that you have creative control of your experience, because you have vibrational control of your experience, because you have focused control of your experience, because you have the ability to focus, then you say, all right. But then when it's hard, you say, not all right. This shouldn't be this hard. This shouldn't be this hard. And then you say something, which is the last thing we ever want to hear from you. I'm not good at this. But you are good at it. You just don't know you're good at it. You just haven't practiced being good at it in the way that really gives you the clarity. And that's really what we're going to be talking about here today. If you've been following us for a while, you've heard us say that you are the creator of your own reality, blah, blah, blah. Enough of that. And that you live in a vibrational universe, blah, 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 blah. Enough of that already. But you do, and you are. So, blah, blah, blah. So, here you are, the creator of your own reality. And life is constantly throwing things at you, isn't it? Well, it's not really like that. Life is happening around you, and you're observing, but it really isn't after you. It's not testing you. It's not challenging you. It's just being around you for you to observe. It's just this magnificent palette for you to play in. So life is happening around you, and you are participating in it through your observation, through your memory, through your awareness, through your conversation. You're participating in it. And as you are doing that, you are coming to lots of conclusions, many and every day, of what you want. Because life helps you to know what you don't want. You know what you don't want, you know what you do want, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. It's just this wonderful variety or contrast that helps you to come to important personal conclusions. So these conclusions happen within you, and we've been calling that step one, because the variety, the contrast that surrounds you, causes you to ask for what you want, whether you use words or not. You just constantly keep coming to personal preferences. You were born like that. You've always been like that. You will never stop being like that. We want you to accept that you are like that. It's a good thing. Step one is a really, really good thing. You're asking constantly. It is the basis of the expansion of the universe. It's a wonderful thing. So you're asking, step one. Step two, not your work. That's where law of attraction and the source within you answers what you're asking for. When you emit a signal, the signal is answered. So ask, answer, ask, answer, ask, answer. But your discomfort is that there often appears to you to be quite a time gap between your asking and the universe answering. But there is not a time gap between the answer. There's just a time gap between you getting up to speed with the answer. You say, hey, Abraham, that can't be right, because I want it. I'm paying attention. If it were there, I would know it. And we say, it comes in a vibrational form first. And you say, oh, so that's the catch. You're giving me something vibrational that I can't see or hear or smell or taste or touch. So you can say all day that when I ask, it is given. Write a book about it if you want, Abraham. You can say that all day, but to me it doesn't feel like it's being given. And we say that's because you're in a different frequency from what you're asking for. You have to line up with what you're asking for. In other words, when you want more money because you clearly do not have enough, when you feel frightened or bound or in trouble financially or just not satisfied, when you feel that way, you are that way. And you say, no, I feel that way because I am that way. And we say, no, you am that way because you feel that way. In other words, it works differently than you think it does, but you've been observing it for so long, you don't know which came first. But what comes first always is your vibrational countenance. And then the manifestation just matches what you feel like. So if you want more money and you feel like you don't have enough money, you can ask all day, all day, all day, every day. You can write long lists of it. But if in your belly, if in your being, if you're feeling the fear or the absence of money, then you've got a vibration going that's different from the answer that you seek. You want more money, but your vibration says, I don't have enough. And the universe says, and law of attraction answers you with what you're feeling. So a lot of our physical friends, especially in the beginning, say, well, then it doesn't seem like I can get there from there. It doesn't seem like I can get to where I want to be from where I am. Because if I am missing something that I want, and I'm aware that I'm missing this thing that I want, and in fact, the reason that I'm speaking about it so clearly is because it's missing and that's why I want it, then how do I get there? And we say, you have to feel like it feels to have it. And you say, okay, then give it to me and I will. And we say, just try a little bit. Just try a little bit. Do not activate within yourself so often the vibration of what's missing, and focus yourself into activating the vibration of what you want. It is not as difficult as you think. So, step 1 is contrast causes you to ask. Step 2 is it is given vibrationally, so there is no gap really. Step 3 is you have to convince yourself there's no gap. That's the work. You got to feel it as if it is in order for it to be. And we know you balk at it, but many of you are practicing this and are finding it. Many of you are understanding the laws of the universe, and you're finding ways to focus yourself into feeling good without needing all of the evidence to be there first. Do you hear how important that is? If you don't need the evidence for what you want to be there first before you feel it, then you are able to accomplish the vibrational countenance of it before it is, which means it must be. And Esther said, please, 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 let's call it step 4. Please, please, please. Can't we call it step 4? We need another step. We need another step, Abraham. Please, please, let's call it step 4. And we say, all right, step 4. So you ask, step 1. Source answers, step 2. You allow it, step 3. But now we've been talking to you for a while. You've been keeping up with us pretty good. And we're saying to you that if you don't try so hard, if you just accept that you are naturally good-feeling beings, and when you wake up in the morning, before you start thinking about the things that you've got to do that you don't want to do, before you start remembering the injustices of yesterday or 10 years ago, before you remember that you're going to that place today to work that you really don't want to be, before your kids get up, before any of those things happen that challenge your sense of well-being, if you can get hold of that sense of well-being and just sustain it for a little bit with really general thoughts, because if you get specific, it usually doesn't work as well. Get into an attitude of appreciation and milk it for just a little bit. Law of attraction will help you out. Because law of attraction says that that which is likened to itself is drawn. And law of attraction will give you, it's not really giving it to you, it's just the way it is. It's like gravity doesn't give you attachment to the planet. It just is. So law of attraction provides for you this consistent life experience. So, to make it very clear and blunt, we like blunt, you have 17 seconds to sustain this thought and move it into something even more powerful. 17 seconds, and another thought like it joins it. And there is power, manifestational power, in that crossing that 17-second mark that most people don't know about, or when they wake up, they would make very sure that they stay there for 17 seconds. So if you find a good feeling thought, or better said, if you wake up and don't introduce a not good feeling thought, because when you wake up, there's no thought. During that time of slumber, you have stopped the momentum of all thought. That's really an important thing to understand. You don't know that mostly because you wake up and you start thinking so fast that you pick up your momentum right where you were and start it all over again. But when you slumber, momentum of thought stops. Law of attraction is suspended for you. Your point of attraction is no longer attracting. So when you wake up, you have a really good possibility of getting out of the bed on the right foot, getting out on the right side of the bed. These are your words. We don't like them very much, but we thought you'd relate. You have a very good possibility of getting the vibration going the way you want it to go. And your best possibility is first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, before there is any other momentum going. So we've been talking about this for a while. And Esther really listened. So she decided that she was going to wake up on that first morning and she was going to sustain her good feeling that she had awakened with. And she didn't make it until breakfast. Quite annoyed with herself, which didn't help. But the next day, she tried it again and didn't make it much past breakfast. Then she discovered that if she just wouldn't read her email, it would help. So her dominant intent became to sustain this feeling of well-being as long as I can. Just sustain it. And what she began noticing about the second week and third week and fourth week of doing that was that not only was it easy to find and maintain that frequency of feeling good, but there were all kinds of other benefits that began coming to her that these words won't give to you. You have to do it and find it yourself because words don't teach. So we're just explaining to you what Esther experienced. She found a new clarity that was not within her before. She found a sort of stable ride. She remembered Jerry's story of shock absorbers. He used to tell a story about he got a new car. He was test driving it. It was a beautiful Cadillac, and it was in San Diego. And the salesperson took him down a road that Jerry thought no nice car should ever be on. And he was amazed at the ride that that car gave him, even on a very bumpy road, because the suspension system, the shock absorbers were such that even though there were bumps in the road, he did not feel them in that car. And he used that analogy always, and it's the same analogy that we're offering to you here. When you find vibrational alignment with who you really are, and you sustain it for a period of time, what happens is you get shock absorbers. So even though the same sort of things may be happening around you, you might even see some of them, although law of attraction makes it less and less likely that you're going to participate on any personal level with anything unwanted once you begin sustaining this vibration of well-being. But the whole point of all of this, we don't want you to become so vibrationally snobbish. Esther says, I'm a vibrational snob. I like clarity and I will not accept confusion. But when you care about how you feel and you practice it until you're in this place where you are sustaining it more consistently, then you don't feel like you felt before. You know how when you first start knowing that you are the creator of your own reality, and you get feeling pretty good, and then someone says something that takes you away from your good feeling, and you think to yourself, I'm never talking to you again. I'm going to avoid you. You are a downer. But then you find yourself in a sort of state of avoidance everywhere. You can't watch television. You can't really go out in the world. You have to give your children away. You just can't barricade yourself into enough solitude to really maintain the vibration, and you give up so much by trying to do that. The benefit of alignment shouldn't have to pay the price of being a hermit. You should be able to practice your alignment until you're so good at it that you can go anywhere, be anywhere with anyone, and maintain your vibration.
When you're traumatized, some threat or some danger or some condition in your outer world, through your senses, is changing how you feel in your inner world. And the quotient of change between the way you normally feel in some alarm state. When you change your internal state and move into that emergency mode, you narrow your focus on the cause, and the brain freezes an image and takes a snapshot, and that's called the long-term memory. And now that image is branded holographically into the brain. So then we remember experiences better because we can remember how they feel, and that memory then changes the person's biology. So they think neurologically within the circuits of that experience, and they feel chemically within the boundaries of those emotions, and how we think and feel becomes our state of being. So now the person biologically is changed, and many times it's the strong emotion that begins to select and instruct the gene that creates disease. Why?
Yeah.
Because if the environment signals the gene, and that's a truth, that's epigenetics, and the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion, the emotion that you feel from that event is literally selecting the gene for you to begin to change. And the genes make proteins. And so the person, if it's strong enough, begins to wear their trauma, not just in their brain. Now it's in their body, because every time they think about that trauma, every time they review it, every time they keep creating the imagery, they keep firing and wiring the circuits in their brain, and they keep feeling the feeling emotionally in their body. And their body is so objective that it's believing it's living in the same past experience 50 to 100 times a day. And all you need is a stimulus and response, an image and an emotion, a thought and a feeling, and you're conditioning the body into the past. Well, you're conditioning the brain and body into the past.
And it doesn't matter if the actual event happened to you or not, because if you have the image, what I'm hearing you say, it's still going to connect to the body. So like what's happening right now is people are consuming probably more than 50, 100 pieces of media talking about trauma in the world right now.
Right.
Is that causing more physical damage on our bodies without actually having it physically hurt us?
Well, let me finish that thought, and then people can answer that question.
Mind-blowing.
So then you asked, is it possible then that people can heal that quickly in 1 week? Yeah, because what if they create an inner event that carries an amplitude of gratitude or joy or freedom? Break through from the chains of the past. And when the body is liberated and you feel that elevated emotion, the stronger the emotion you feel from that breakthrough, the more you're going to pay attention to the image in your mind. And now you're beginning to brand new circuitry in the brain, and your body's being conditioned into a new future. And the stronger the emotion you feel, and the more you pay attention to the picture, the more you're conditioning the body over time to the future instead of the past. So now you keep knocking on that genetic door emotionally, then that emotion ultimately signals a new gene that upregulates that gene to produce better proteins. And the person then all of a sudden starts healing. And we have research to show that people can do that in 4 days, signal genes to reduce cancer cells and
wow.
to signal stem cells to suppress to go to active tissues and repair them and regenerate them and suppress inflammation. We have research to show that you could change the number of brain cells you have just by doing this properly. And so now all of a sudden, a person starts changing.
In 4 days, you can start to reverse some of the damage you've done in your body, depending on the degree of damage, it sounds like. But in 4 days, by simply replacing the imagery, the visualization, the acknowledgement to a different emotion, an emotion of joy, gratitude, peace, perspective, acceptance. I'm assuming these things.
A vision of your future.
A vision of what you want that's positive, as opposed to a vision that is tied to a negative event of the past over and over every single moment of the day. Your body will start to heal, your immune system will start to heal, and you'll start to shift your genes.
Gene expression, absolutely.
What is this law of attraction?
So people think that
Good morning, guys. I want to share with you another personal story today. This is to highlight how we all are unique and we're all different, and we all have that sense of wanting to show and express this. As you know, I work with students every single day, and I had a young student the other day come up to me and ask me, Mr. Francis, are you proud of me? And in that moment, I said to her, I am so proud of you. When you try your best, when you give your best, and you are doing it every single day, I can see it. And you should have seen the expression, the light that shone on her face. See, we all want to feel that. We all want to know that what we're doing, there can be pride in it, that it is important, that it is validated, that what we're doing is working. It's at a young age, it's at any age, we want that. And when we have that feeling, then we can truly become the greatest light we can be. Hope this helps everyone. Have a great day.
One of the first qualities of a warrior is courage. You want to live your life from now on with courage. That most people take their talents, abilities, and skills to the grave with them because of lack of courage. And courage is not the lack of fear. Courage is the willingness to do what it is you need to do, what you are called to do, in spite of the fear. You don't want to live a fear-driven life because you're depriving yourself, your family, and the world that you came here to do something. That's why we're told constantly in the book of life, be of good courage. Because there's stuff that's going to happen that requires that you have courage, that you stand up inside yourself and face it and handle it. Most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run, but there are few that in a fearful situation, they face everything and rise with courage. And that's who you are. That's why you're listening to me now, because there's something you want to do. And when you're going outside of your comfort zone, it takes courage. Most people, the majority of people, die within their comfort zone. They're not risk takers. They go through life trying to play it safe. Let me share something with you. There's no safe position in life. If we don't know anything else, if we have not learned anything else from the coronavirus, there's no safe position in life. You can't get out of life alive. You got to die to leave here. And so this is a time that you want to live your life full and do the things that you think about. Sure, you want to keep social distancing from people and from particularly toxic, negative, energy draining people. You want to keep social distance from them. Why? Because people rub off on you. But you're here to do the greater work. You're here to do something. You've got to live life like you mean it. When I decided to speak, I went at it hard because I didn't want to be just a speaker. I wanted to be a speaker that stood out, that made a national and global impact. And you can do that too. That's why you're listening to me. You have some talent, you have some knowledge, you have some experiences. You've seen some stuff. And there's some things in you don't want to take to your grave with you. So when you live like a warrior, you live courageously. You're fearless.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with the Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Les Brown, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, live full, die empty.
I don't know where you align with what you want to do in terms of your life and your goals and your dreams, but I say what Dr. Miles Monroe said, live full, die empty, keep social distancing, do the things you need to do to stay alive, listen to the scientists and not people who become internet scientists or Google scientists. Listen to the real scientists and make decisions that will keep you and your family safe. That's what's most important right now. And not just be consumed by the distractions that are going on. Life will always be full of distractions. Dimple said, if it ain't one thing, it's another. I said, if ain't one thing, is 12 others. And so during the adversities of where we are and what we are facing, you want to have some things that you're doing that will give you the tools, the mindset, the mental resolve to handle whatever life throws at you. Why, Les? Because whatever life throws at you, you have in you. Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. You have in you to handle it. You have built-in greatness. You have built-in power, authority, and dominion to handle whatever life throws at you. And life is going to be throwing a lot of stuff. Nobody's going to be spared. That's why Viktor Frankl called it unavoidable suffering. But suffering is a choice. You have a choice because you can suffer or you can choose to do whatever you need to do to liberate yourself, whatever you need to do to reinvent yourself, whatever you need to do to get the help that you need to overcome whatever you are stuck in right now.
Rule number 3, use the power of imagination.
The biggest challenge I had to overcome, and it's a continuous challenge, is allowing myself to see myself beyond my circumstances and mental conditioning, to live out of my imagination rather than my history. When you are raised in a culture that constantly demean you, marginalize you, and stifle your potential to move forward. I remember reading a quote by a guy named Richard Wright, who said, "The impulse to dream has been slowly beaten out of me through the experiences of life." So just imagine in 1963, when I graduated from high school, now that's a long time ago. my grandson said, "Grandpa, how old are you?" And I said, 75. He said, "You are old." In 1963, here's what the statistics were in 1963. That if you're an African American, you're the last hired and the first fired. If you're an African American, that a white college trained Black person has less of a chance of getting a job than a white high school dropout. That's in 1963. Wow. According to the Federal Reserve, that still exists. So just imagine when an African American graduates from college and in debt, that a white high school dropout today will earn more money, 3 times more money than that Black college graduate. 3 times more, all right? Why? Because of his paint job. I'll never forget, Louis, I saw an interview with Larry King, and this white supremacist was being interviewed, and he said, "Tell me, why do you hate Black people?" He said, "Because they're Black." So, and he said, "And?" He said, "And I'm white." So Larry said, "What did you have to do with that?" And this white supremacist said, "What?" He said, "What did you have to do with your being born white?" And he didn't have an answer. He just got quiet. And Larry, in that question, that strategic question, it created an aha moment, hopefully, for that young man. I saw this video yesterday. This lady said, "I've got grandchildren. I hate y'all, and I'm teaching my grandchildren to hate you too."
Wow.
Yes, and I'll never forget when I was on a bus coming back from Miami Beach with my mother, and they had signs on Miami Beach that said, "Jews, dogs, and coloreds not allowed." And so I asked my mother, I said, "Mama, why do they hate us so much?" And she said, "Leslie, I don't know, but don't you ever be like them. Don't you ever be like them. God is love. And he who dwelleth in love dwelleth in God and God in them." You love people regardless of how they treat you.
Rule number 4, find a mentor.
What we have to do is realize you can't read the label when you're locked in the box. That's why it's important, the work that you and Carol are doing. You have to have somebody with a trained eye, somebody with experience that can take you to a place in yourself that you can't go by yourself because you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And just think about sporting teams. When a team loses, they don't fire the team, they fire the coach. Why? Because that coach can get something out of them that they can't get out of themselves, regardless how talented they are. Michael Jordan, considered one of the greatest basketball players of all times. Michael Jordan has won some championships, but he never won them without Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson has won championships, but he's won them without Michael Jordan. So you have to have a coach, someone that can see what you can't see and be able to call it out, to extract it. I had a lady tell me she didn't have any story. When I finished with her, oh my goodness, her story was breathtaking.
Yeah.
I said, baby, look here, I don't smoke, I don't drink, but I need some reefer in here. I said, my goodness, this is just too much. Sometimes you think you got some problems, you listen to somebody else's problems and say, you know what? I'm fine.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, develop your mind.
Reading those, he said, if you want to become successful, number 1, develop your mind. And he was a fan of Earl Nightingale, that you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. The strangest secret in the world. I've listened to that so many times. I've wore it out. And then the other thing he said, develop your mind. Next thing he said, practice OQP, only quality people. Surround yourself with people that you can learn from, people that have more than you, people that will help you to grow mentally and emotionally and financially and spiritually. And the next thing he said, which is the master key to opening up new worlds for you, is your ability to communicate. Because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. And I believed him, and I followed that. I never forget, when I was in Poland, and I was in this stadium, and I saw my name up, and people started chanting when they saw me coming through the tunnel. And I said, Mr. Washington, this one is for you, sir. You know, he's gone. He's been gone. I eulogized him. I said, I'm going to make you proud today, because it was my first time speaking in Poland, you know. And so, but I so admired him. I've never known my father or birth mother, but that the ability to connect with people that are strangers to you and can create a shift in their lives and how they see themselves, to have that sacred opportunity to share your story and distract, dispute, and inspire them to realize, as the play Lion King, Simba, you are more than that which you have become. That's what you do every day, up in here.
Rule number 6, take time for yourself.
One thing that I'm encouraging you to do, that I'm doing, is I'm taking time to work on me and to get to know more about me. Because if you don't know who you really are, as opposed to the kind of person you were before the world got its hands on you, if you don't know that, and you've bought into the culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self, when you don't have a sense of self, when you don't have a strong identity, that takes away your purpose and the meaning of your life. And that puts you on a path
of self-destructive behavior.
you